So now in this module, we'll start looking at the attribute tool, and attributes can be used to add dynamic information in our AutoCAD blocks. So I will explain it with the help of window block, which I will use in this drawing. And in this case, we have these two window drawings and they are simply made with lines and they are not yet a block. And we'll create some attribute information and then we'll convert it into a block and then we'll insert it in the drawing. So to add the attributes, go to this block panel and select this define attributes tool. So either you can select this tool from the expanded block panel or you can also use its command equivalent ATT. So you can simply type ATT on the command line and press enter to access this attribute definition window. Now in this window, we need to define the properties of the attribute, and I'll start with the tag. So the tag will be the identifier which will be used instead of the actual attribute information, and it will always be in uppercase. Even if you add it in lowercase, it will be converted into an uppercase value. So I'll type dim as tag and dim for dimensions of the window. In the prompt, we need to enter the prompt which we want to see on the insert attribute window. So I'll select enter window size. And now here in the default field, you need to enter the default value which you want to see in case no attribute value has been added. So I'll keep this value as A cross B. So that will be the default value for this case. Now here we have some text related settings. The first one is justification. So I'll select this middle center text justification and we'll see it in a moment how this middle center justification is used. And also we have the text style, which is standard. If you have more styles, it will show up in this list and you can select from that. Also, we don't want it to be annotative, so I'll keep it unchecked. And the height of text. So you can apply a height. In this case, the height is set to 6 inches. And here this double inverted comma sign indicates that it's an inch symbol. And also if you don't want to add this text height in the text value, you can add it dynamically by clicking on this box and you can specify the height. For example, you can click on this box and click at 2 distinct points in the drawing area and that length will be used here. So obviously we don't want this. We'll simply add 6 inches as the text height. Now we have the rotation angle, which I'll keep at 0. I'll not change this value. And now let's look at this mode option. So here make sure that lock position is checked. And when you keep this lock position checked, the attribute value will remain fixed with respect to the block. Also, we have this preset value which should be unchecked, because if you keep this value checked, the default value will be used directly and it will not prompt for any value. And also make sure specify on screen is checked. So with these settings, click on OK. And now specify the place where you want to put this. So I'll just go to the midpoint of this line and I'll turn on this object snap, go to midpoint but don't click. Now move it a little bit upwards and click somewhere over here. Now, as soon as I clicked, you'll notice that the complete text will move to align its center point at the point where I clicked. So that's because of middle center justification. So in simple terms, the point which I clicked will be the middle center point of the complete text. Now we have created this attribute definition. We can add one more over here, or we can simply copy this one at this place. So I'll do this thing. I'll copy it. Select the copy tool, select the attribute, and now copy it to this place here. Now press escape and here we have it. Now the attributes are added, but in order to identify these different attributes, I'll simply double click on the second one and this edit attribute definition window will pop up. From here, I'll just change the value of this attribute and I'll change its tag name to dim1. And you can also see that you can change the value of prompt and also the default values. So you can obviously change these fields if required. Now with these changes, click on OK. And here we have this dim1 attribute. Now we'll convert both of these objects into blocks. So for converting into block, you can select this create block tool and now let's give it a name. So I'll name it as window 5 inches. Now click on this pick point and specify a pick point, which will be this point, the midpoint of the top line. Now select objects and select all of these objects and press enter. Also here I'll make sure that this delete radio button is checked because I don't want this attribute to be at this place. I want it to be removed, and I'll keep all these values at their default. Annotative unchecked, scale uniformly unchecked, and allow exploding checked. Now click on OK. And we don't have that geometry anymore, but we have its copy here in this insert. So we have it added. Let's repeat the process for this second geometry as well. So I'll go to this create block, give it a name. So let's name it as window 10 inches. Now click on pick points and click on this pick point. Now select objects, select all of these objects, and now click on OK. So we have both of these blocks added here, the dim and dim 1, or the 5 inches and 10 inches block. Now we'll insert both the windows in this drawing, and we have two different wall thicknesses. The first one here, the interior walls are of 5 inches and the exterior are of 10 inches. Now in order to add the windows, I'll go to this insert and I'll select the 5 inches block. Now here we have this block. Let's insert it at this point. And as soon as you insert that block, you'll notice this edit attributes window. So that's the difference between a normal block and a block which has attributes. And here we have the prompt, enter window size and the default values, which we can change. So now we need to enter the size of this window, which will enter as the width by length. So let's enter 5 inches by 4 feet. So that's the dimension of this window. Click on OK. And we have that value here. Now let's repeat the process for another window here. So I'll click on this insert, select the 5 inches window, and this time I'll select this point, and now once again change its value. So I'll type 5 inches by 3 feet and click on OK. So in this way, the single block can be used to enter different values using attributes. Similarly, you can insert the second block also. So I'll select this 10 inches window and I'll insert it somewhere over here. And once again, I'll enter the value. So I'll type 10 inches by 4 feet. And now click on OK. And here we have it. In a similar way, you can add as many windows as you want in this drawing, and they will be added with their respective attribute values. Now in this case, if you don't want the attributes to be visible in the drawing, you can simply hide their visibility using this block panel. So expand the block panel, and here on the expanded block panel, you'll see the attribute visibility options. So here we have an option of hiding the attributes. So select hide all attributes, and all of the attributes will be hidden. They are still present in the drawing, and you can bring them back simply by going to the respective option. So you can select this retain attribute display and they'll be brought back to the drawing. Now in the previous video, I have already mentioned that when you explode a block, it will return back to its respective geometries. Now if you explode a block containing attribute, it will explode, but it will return back to its original tag values. For example, here we have this window. Let's explode it. And to explode it, I'll select X as the command, press enter. Now select the object and press enter again. And now here the attribute value changed and it's now showing the default tag value, which was dim. And that was the original condition of the block before we converted it into a simple block. Now we have this attribute and also these simple geometries. But if you want to retain the attribute information even after exploding the blocks, then you can use burst express tool or the burst command. So instead of exploding it, select burst, press enter, and now select the block and press enter again. So in this case also, the block has been exploded. You can see their respective geometries, but the attribute definition or the attribute value has been retained in this case. And this is no longer an attribute values. This is simply a text. So this was all about creating simple attributes and inserting them in our drawing. In this video, we'll learn about creating attributed blocks with the help of field information. Now here we have some rooms in this drawing, and we have created some views in this drawing as well. So when you go to this view controls, you'll see this custom view option and you'll see these views. Now these views are created already in this drawing. So for example, here we have this hall view, and here we have the kitchen view and all the remaining views. Now let's say that we want to create a room label with the view names for all of these rooms. Now for that, I will start with a simple rectangle. So I'll go to the draw panel and I'll select this rectangle tool. Now click anywhere in the drawing area to make the rectangle, and I'll make it of this size, something like this. And now we'll add the attribute. So expand the block panel and select this define attributes option, or you can obviously use the ATT command for this. Now let's enter the tag. So I'll enter room as the tag, and in the prompt let's enter room name. In the default value we'll not enter anything. Instead we'll click on this box. Now this will allow us to insert a field in this attribute definition. So I'll click here, and now this field window will pop up. Now from here I'll go to this named objects option. So here we have this named object, and now we need to select the views. So here on this drop down, select view, and we have all the views here which are present in the drawing. So let's select the first one, which is hall, and I'll select uppercase, and here we have the final preview of the field. Now click on OK, and that value is added here with this gray background. Now select the justification. I'll select middle center, and the text style is standard. Also we have 6 inches text height, so I'll change it. So I'll click on this box, and I'll take reference of this rectangle to make the text. So I'll click at this point, and I'll click at this point. So that will be the height, which is close to 10 inches. And now click on OK. So here we have this tag. So let's place this tag, and I'll place it at the center. So click on this center point, and the tag will place itself appropriately in this rectangle. Now we'll convert this tag into a block. So I'll go to this create block, and now give it a name. So let's name it as room tag. Click on pick point and select the middle point for the pick point. So somewhere around here. Now select objects and select all of these objects, press enter, and now allow exploding should be checked, and also delete radio button should be checked. Now click on OK, and we have the required block added in our drawing. So let's start adding our block. So I'll go to this insert option, and I'll select this room tag, and I'll add it here. So as you can see that we have the hall here, and that's the required field, and I'll click on OK. Here we have it. The hall has been added here. Now in a similar way, we will add next tag in this room. This was room 1. So I'll go to insert, I'll select room tag, but now in this case we still have this hall field which will change. So I'll click here, and now we have this hall field clearly visible. So let's press backspace, and now I'll right click on this field, and I'll select this insert field option. Now here we have named object, hall, and all the settings selected as it was in the previous case, but I'll change this field value to room 1, and I'll keep all of these settings unchanged. Click on OK and click on OK. Now we have this room 1 added here. In a similar way you can add other fields. So I'll add one more block here with the field. So click on this insert, select room tag, click here. Now let's remove it again. Right click, select insert field, and add kitchen. Click on OK and OK again. So here we have it. So all the 3 tags are now added here. Now since these values are fields, so they will update themselves whenever a change is detected. So in this case we have the kitchen, room 1, and hall. Let's change this room 1 name. So for that I'll type V and press enter. So that will take us to the view manager, and here we have all of these views. So here we have this room 1. So let's rename this room 1, and let's name it as Amy's room. So I'll click on this name field, and I'll type here Amy's room. Now press enter, and here we have the name updated. Now let's click on apply and then OK. And now the value should change, but it has not yet changed. So in order to change it manually, simply type RE or REA command. So that will regenerate the complete drawing. And here we have it, Amy's room. Now the field has been updated. So that's the advantage of adding blocks with attributes which contain field. And this is one of the simplest situations in which this attributed block containing field has been used, but there are plenty of other scenarios also, mostly in the sheet set, when you can use fields in the attributed block. In this video, I will tell you about the Attribute Manager tool of AutoCAD, and the Attribute Manager can be used to change the properties of attributes in the blocks. So we have this drawing which we have made previously, and we have these 3 attributed blocks added here. Now let's say that we want to change some of the properties in this attributed block. For that, we can use the Attribute Manager tool, and it can be accessed from this expanded block panel. So expand the block panel and click on this Attribute Manager tool. Alternatively, you can also use its command equivalent, which is BATTMAN, which is quite similar to Batman. So I'll simply type the command and now press enter. So here we have this block attribute manager. Now in this case, you'll see a list of block here on the top. So here we have these 2 attributed blocks. So if the drawing contains more than 2 blocks, it will be visible in this list. So I'll select this window 10 inches block. Now all the properties related to that will be visible here, and you can modify its properties by selecting this edit button. So click on the edit, and we have this edit attribute window. Now we have these 3 simple tabs: the attribute, text option, and properties. Let's start with the attribute. Now this attribute has all the information which you have seen on the attribute window, like the tag, prompt, and default value. Also, we have some of the options here on the mode panel, so you can change them as well if you want. Now here we have this tag value. Let's say that we want to change this tag value and we want to change it to dim 10. Also here we have the text options. Now if you want to change any of these values, for example the text height, width factor, and all the other settings like the justification or the text style, you can do it from here. We have some additional properties also, for example the layer assignment and the line type, and also the color that you can also change from here. So let's change this color to green, and now the auto preview has been checked, so that means the preview will directly be visible in the drawing. Now click on OK, apply, and here we have it. The preview is visible here. Now click on OK again, and the attribute has been updated here. You can also directly access the Attribute Manager tool by double clicking on the blocks containing attributes. So if you double click on the blocks which has attribute value, you'll see this enhanced attribute editor window. Now it is similar to the Attribute Manager which we have seen, and here also we have the attribute, text option, and the properties. Now in this case also, let's change the color, so that will make the changed property quite visible. We have the changed property visible here. Now let's click on OK, and here we have it. So in this way you can selectively change the properties of different blocks containing attributes. Now in this case, if you want to open the block editor for any of these blocks, you can simply select the block, then right click and go to block editor. So in that way you can open the block editor, because simply double clicking a block will open the attribute editor instead of opening the block editor. So that was all about Attribute Manager tool of AutoCAD. In this video, I will tell you about the data extraction tool, and using data extraction tool, you can extract a lot of information from your drawing. For example, in this case, we will extract the data related to the attributed blocks, and you can export that data into an external file, for example, a file which is compatible with MS Excel, or you can also insert it in the current drawing as a table. So in this drawing, we have these 3 simple blocks which has attributes. Now let's say that we want to extract all the information related to these windows or these attributed blocks. For that, you can type data extraction and now press enter. So that will open this data extraction wizard. Now in this wizard, make sure that the first radio button, create a new data extraction, is selected, and now start with clicking on this next button. Now it will prompt you to specify the location where you want to save it. So I'll go to desktop and I'll save it with ATT data name, and it will be saved with .dxe extension. Now click on save, and here we have the location where it will be saved. And this is also the location where our current drawing is. Now we need to select the properties which needs to be extracted. And for that, we need to select this second radio button, which is select objects in current drawing, because we want to extract limited number of information from the current drawing. Now after selecting this, click on this settings button, and this will open this data extraction window. In this window, make sure that this extract objects from block is checked. And also you can keep this objects in model space checked, and that will ensure that all the objects which are only in model space are included. Now click on OK, and now we'll click on this box, and I'll select the complete geometry. Now click on next. And we have complete information in the form of this table. So obviously we don't need all of this information. We only need the information which is relevant, and that's the blocks containing attribute. So for that, I'll click on this checkbox, and this will ensure that all the blocks that contain attribute will be listed here and their properties. So here you can see that we have some objects here like these two blocks, and also we have these objects which are not blocks. So you can uncheck these objects and they will not appear in our final result. Now we only have the information related to these blocks. Now click on next, and here we have the final table with lots of objects. So once again here I'll uncheck in this category filter all the values which we don't want. So we don't want 3D visualization, drawing, general, geometry or miscellaneous. We only want attribute related information. Now click on next, and here we have our final table. Now in this final table, we have the count for each of the blocks, their dimensions included here as attribute values. Also here, make sure this combine identical rows is checked, and also you can check these boxes to include or remove these columns. For example, you can remove the count column if you want, or you can remove the name column, but I'll keep all of them checked. Now click on next, and in this page you need to select the place where you want to put that information. So we have two options: either you can insert that information as a table, or you can extract it as an external file. So I'll select both, and to extract that information I'll select the location. So I'll once again click on this box, go to desktop, and here I'll select ATT data, and it will be saved as XLS extension which can be opened with Microsoft Excel. Now click on save, and once again click on next. Here we have the table which will be used in this current drawing. Now with the default settings, I'll click on next and then finish. Now the table will be visible on the cursor, so I'll click somewhere over here, and the table has been inserted. Although the size of table is very small, so I can increase it simply by using the scale tool. So I'll select a scale, select the complete table, press enter, click at a point here, and let's enter a scale factor of 20. And it still needs to be increased, so I'll select it again, select the scale factor, click at the base point. Now let's enter 3, and now we have it of appropriate size. So now you can see that we have the window 5 inches block with these dimensions, here also with these dimensions, their count and all the values. We not only have these here, we also have it on the desktop. So let's minimize the drawing, and here we have this ATT dia as Excel file, and here is all the information. So let's now close it, and let's open our drawing. So in this way you can extract the attribute related information from your AutoCAD drawings easily using the data extraction wizard. Okay, so here is the question related to the module. Now here we need to make a room tag block as shown in this image, and add a room occupant name as well as a room number as attributes. Now after doing that, insert one of the instances of this attributed block in the drawing and give the room occupant name as Alex and the room number as 24. Now for making this block, we have used a hexagon which is inscribed in a circle of radius 10 units, and the text height of attribute is 2.4 unit, and it is using simplex.shx font. So to make this attributed block, we need to first start with the hexagon. So I'll go to this draw panel and I'll select the polygon tool. Now type 6 as number of sides, press enter, click at a point, then select inscribed in a circle and enter a radius of 10 unit and press enter. Now there we have it. Now we need to add a horizontal line. So click on line and add this horizontal line in the hexagon. Now we need to add the attribute values, and before adding the attribute value we need to define the text style as per the requirement. So for that I'll go to this annotation panel, expand it and click on this text box. Now this will open our text style window. Now here we need to select simplex.shx font or the simplex shape font, which is here. Also we need to ensure that the text height is 2.4, and now apply, make this current and close it. So now our current text style is applied and we can add attributes, and these attributes will take this current text style. So to add the attributes, I'll go to insert tab and now click on define attributes. Now you can add any tag, prompt and different values. So in this case I'll add occupant as the tag and name as the prompt, and I'll leave this default value blank, and let's click on justification, make it middle center, and the text height is already set here. You can see this. We only need to ensure that standard text style is selected. Now click on OK and specify the location. So I'll click somewhere close to this midpoint. There we have it. Now similarly add another attribute also, or you can copy this attribute. So I'll simply go to home tab, select copy and copy this attribute. So I'll click on this point and I'll copy it somewhere over here. Now let's modify this attribute. So for modifying this, I'll double click on it and we need to change the tag and prompt value. So the tag should be room and the prompt should be number or any other value which you want, and I'll click on OK. So there we have it. Now we can convert this into our attributed block. So for converting this, I'll go to this create block and give this a name. So let's name it as room tag. Now select the pick point and select this middle point. Then make sure convert to block is selected and click select objects and select all of them and press enter. Also make sure allow exploding is checked and open in block editor is unchecked and click on OK. And there we have it. We have the number and name. So the number should be 24 as per our question and the name is Alex. Okay, and click on OK. And there we have it. We have the attributed block here with the occupant name as Alex and the room number as 24.